Ego, ego comes about basically the second you think to yourself, I am. Even as a little baby or a child, when you get that idea of yourself as a separate being, this is when ego comes about, when ego comes into our life. And it's basically our perception of ourselves, others, the world, and kind of based on our deeply held beliefs about the world. The ego is there to sort of help us out. And I know that a lot of people think that ego is a mischief maker, maybe an entity that is kind of against us. And I want to stop right now. It's not an adversary. It's not against us. The ego is not against us. For the ego to be against us, there would have to be a power in the world that was against us. And there's one power in the world, and it is definitely for us. It is for our capital G good. So let's not think about the ego as an adversary. But why does the ego think that we're separate? Right? Because this is kind of where the ego gets a little wacky, and some of the things it tells us is because we think we're separate when we're listening to it. Well, of course, I have this body, and you have that body. And I'm Ken Fales, and my parents were my parents, and I was born in American Fork, Utah. How cool is that? American Fork, Utah. And you weren't, that I'm aware of. Let me know, LMK. And so it's reasonable that the ego thinks we're separate. And there's this thing out there that they say is God. There's this divine intelligence. Yeah, I'm down with that, says the ego. I'm cool with that. And it's in, as, and through me. Yeah, sure. But there's still me and God, and we're separate. Right? It's not really unreasonable that the ego would think this. We can see why the ego would think that. We, of course, know that that's not true, but this is what the ego thinks. So what is our true self? This is not so easy to necessarily answer, to put into words what it is, because we use names like true self and higher self when it's not a self. It's not a self at all. It's an experience. So to say an experience of oneness, an experience of truth, that's a little closer to what your true self is. True self is God, right? We are expressions of that one thing, and we always like to stop short of saying, I am God. But our true selves is God, right? So, and I want to make it clear that we're not becoming our true selves. We get this idea that we're working on it. I'm working on becoming my true self, right? You are your true self. You can't be anything but your true self, right? We may think, right, there you go. We may think that we are less. We may think that I'm little, I'm Ken Fales, I'm this guy, I've got my struggles, I've got my problems, and on a certain level, that's true. This level down here. We talk about the kingdoms of consciousness, the stages of consciousness, right? There's that first stage, that is the to me stage, it's the I'm a victim stage of consciousness, and then there's the by me, the second level. And we call them levels, but we don't go through them that way. But anyway, there's the second kingdom, which is the by me, where we start to understand that we have some power in this world, that we can do some manifesting. And then there's the third one, the through me stage, which we then realize, oh, this isn't just me speaking my word and something else doing the work. This is happening through me. And then the fourth kingdom, which then you just realize it is me, I am it, right? We are always in the fourth kingdom. We can't not be in the fourth kingdom consciousness. It's what we are. We can experience ourselves as being in the first kingdom. We can experience ourselves as the second or third kingdom, and we do it a lot. I'd say I'm somewhere between 2 and 3 right about now. But we're always in the fourth kingdom. We can't not be. We don't have this thing to achieve. We just need to remember who we are. We just need to remember what we are, right? We need to awaken to it. And it's guaranteed that it will happen. Guaranteed that it will happen, because Spirit doesn't fail. The light doesn't fail, right? The darkness isn't just going to win, even though it sometimes seems like it. So we've been talking a lot about flow, right? We get in that flow. We're feeling good. We're feeling connected. We're feeling clarity and understanding, and I'm definitely one with Spirit, and I'm feeling this, and I love it. And something comes along, and it knocks us out of that flow, right? And it's typically something that seems like adversity because we don't want it to be the way that it is, right? It's change that comes along that we don't like, and it knocks us out of that flow. Or we just happen to wake up in bed one morning and we're like, why am I Oscar the Grouch this morning? What is going on? I'm just, and you can't get out of it. And we get out of that flow. When you're not, I did not plan to make this rhyme, it just happened. When you're not in the flow, it's because you're ready to grow. When you're not in the flow, you're ready to grow. I'm like Michael Beckwith up here. When you're not in the flow, you're ready to grow. Because your true self knows you're ready. Your true self has got you. It's got you, and it knows you're ready. We're ready to grow. And we're going to live a life of surrender. And we're going to live a life of forgiveness. Because we're going to remember, right, that sometimes people forget the truth of who they are, and we forgive them. I know you don't know what you're doing. I know if you remembered who you were in this moment, you wouldn't be acting this way. I know that. I know if I remembered who I was in this moment, I wouldn't be acting this way. I forgive myself. I forgive you. And I can do that because I'm ready. And my higher self knows I'm ready, and that's why it's given me these challenges. That is the dance between our true self and ego. True self uses our ego as a tool. We are not being manipulated by our ego. Our true self is using it as a tool to help us awaken. The answer to why is always to awaken. Why did that happen? To awaken. Not for just me to awaken, for you, for you, for you. Even if it just happens to me, it's for all of us. Because we all rise together. We're one thing. We're one thing. It's incredible. It is incredible. I want to read something to you. And I know you've heard it before. I want you to just close your eyes. Think about this message. Think about this message that your true self has got you. Everyone's true self has got them. We can set judgment aside. We can live in acceptance. We can live a life of forgiveness. Hold that in your heart while I tell you, for everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted. Think about the judgment we hold about what happens in this world. There is a time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. There is a time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to seek and a time to lose. I got it, I lost it. There is a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate. There is a time for war, and there's a time for peace. There is a time for all things that happen in this world. We don't need to have our judgment about these things. They simply are what they are. We don't need to call it right or wrong or good or bad. We live in acceptance. We live in surrender. We live in forgiveness. We allow what is to be what is, and we shine our light. And we spread our love, and we spread our forgiveness, and we say, it's okay. We tell ourselves it's okay. We tell others it's okay. And when this stuff comes up in the world, we forgive. And we don't take that negativity into our lives. We forgive and we take that power away. When there is a bully, we simply call the bully's bluff and say, I know you don't have any power over me. You cannot take my power. You cannot leave me in fear. I love you and I know you're afraid. And we stop it. We stop the cycle. There's a time for all things, and I want to tell you right now, the time is now for Center for Spiritual Living. The time is now for Science of Mind. This philosophy is needed right now. I saw an interview earlier this week. I'm going to wrap this up, but I saw an interview earlier this week, and there was a guy talking about the desert religions, and I was like, desert religions? Judaism, Islam, Christianity, religions born in the desert where there are cold nights and hot days and a lack of water and wide open spaces. And you think about what came out of these religions because they were born in this place and they all came to America. There is something beautiful about this nation. We took all the good things from all these religions, and when I say we, I mean Ernest Holmes. He really did the legwork on this. But he took all these beautiful things, all the ancient wisdom, and he gave it to us. And we live in abundance. We live in abundance, and Science of Mind is about abundance. It is time for Science of Mind right now. It is time for us to get out in the world and shine our light and heal what's going on and show people that there is a different way, and they will walk in this door. They will flood into this door. And we will change the world from Bakersfield, California. And people will say, Bakersfield? Like they said Jerusalem? Yes, Bakersfield. We're crushing it here. We're crushing it here. We've got 2 grow seasons. Get it here. Bakersfield. The time is now.